So I'm excited because we got another person on the phone. We're going to talk about more rock, a young rocker who's keeping the torch alive for rock and roll. On the phone, we got Danny Wagner from Greta Van Fleet. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Great. We got two Detroit rock royalty on the phone now.
Where? What's up, Danny?
How often does that happen? Hey, how's it going?
Dude, what a
First,
pleasure.
I'd like to say it's a pleasure of mine.
No, the
it's a
pleasure's
pleasure of
mine. Oh. Well, see, us
cool.
drummers, we
You Michiganian,
and
is that word?
Michiganders. Are we Michiganders? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it is. I think that is the term. Yeah.
That's the proper term.
Michigander drummers.
Michiganders. Well, where do you hail from in Michigan?
So I come from. Well, we all actually come from. We live right down the street from each other in a town called Frankenmuth, which is about an hour north.
Dude,
of Detroit.
Frankenmuth is
Yeah, it's the
tiny.
Christmas town. Yeah, the little tiny Christmas town.
Yeah, the
That's where
Christmas.
we're all from.
That's amazing. You're from Frankenmuth.
Yes, sir.
I read.
We used to go there, but seriously, he's right. At Christmas time, it was like a destination. It
Really?
was. They like really had this whole holiday festive thing.
I've also read that it's famous.
Not hold the largest Christmas store in the world.
Wow.
See? Look
I've
at
also
that.
read that it's famous for its chicken dinners. Am I right about that?
Yes, chicken, fudge, beer, the whole Bavarian.
Sounds like a great place.
All at once.
Yeah.
Chicken, fudge,
Absolutely.
beer, Christmas.
I'd like a pint of the chicken fudge beer, please.
Yeah, all in one strip. That
Yeah.
runs right through
Yeah,
town.
put it in a blender.
Well,
Yeah.
Where are you? You're not in Frankenmuth right now. Please tell me that you're
No,
not.
no,
Ah,
no.
shit.
I'm in Oakland, California right now. We're
Oh,
on
okay.
tour. We're doing a West Coast run right
Awesome.
so Danny, the first time I saw you guys play, very LA story. It was at Elton John's Oscar party earlier
No
this year.
way.
Yeah, in February, I guess it was. And what I remember, obviously I remember you guys were awesome, but I remember he actually said that you were the best rock and roll he'd heard in 20 years. And he gave this big speech saying, whoever says rock is dead is not wrong. He really loves you guys. I mean, God, that must just be, he's pretty hip. He's really up on new music. But for him to say you're the best rock music he's heard in 20 years is no small thing.
Yeah, that all happened and came together really quickly, very last minute almost too. Very rock and roll. But it was crazy. It was, honoring. Humbling. He is such a nice person, and he just has nothing but nice things to say. I feel about anyone. That was quite the privilege to send us out into this world. It happened relatively early on in all of our careers. I'd still say I'm pretty early on in my career.
Were you nervous to perform with him? Because you did a couple of his own songs with him on stage.
I'm kind of desensitized to like large audiences and all these things just because of you don't really have time to be nervous, especially when you're touring so often and you're just traveling everywhere. Like we haven't been home in like a year and a half, so you don't really have time to get nervous. You just enjoy it. I had a blast. I was a little bit. I had some adrenaline. I get crazy adrenaline, but as soon as you get up there, it's just like it always is.
Well, it's good to channel that energy that way, instead. Like when people say, to me, like, don't you get nervous when you play? I don't get. The only time I get, I don't even is nervous is if I don't really know what I'm gonna do. If someone really throws something at you like left field, then I'm like,
exactly. Absolutely.
Don't you know this song? Like, no. Well, it's okay.
I know it this way.
Yeah, it goes like this.
Yeah,
And then you're in. And me and Danny, we don't have to change fucking notes. We just have to stop and start.
Yeah.
But even then, if you know what you're gonna do, especially with your guys, you're like, I got this. Let's fucking do it. Let's have fun with it. Yeah, that's great.
So you guys hometown heroes in Frankenmuth now? Are you like the stars of Frankenmuth?
Like you said, it's a small town. I
Yeah.
mean, it now has a lot of attention, which is cool. So, I mean, a lot of people might say that. I hope we are a decent representation of our town because it's a beautiful little town.
It is. I can say that. Now, I know you're getting all, you've got all the comparisons to certain bands and stuff, and your lead singer does have a similarity to a certain singer in a certain band that we all know. But
Absolutely.
what were you guys? What were you guys listening to, or what's your? Where does this come? Where does this Greta Van Fleet come from?
Because you're very young.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm still
How old are you?
barely, but I'm 19.
You're 19. You're a fucking teenager. You could be my son. Maybe you are. I mean, I may have like got in with the chicken and the beer and the fudge, and it's Danny. No offense to your mom, Dan. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. Believe it or not, Sam, the bass players, the rhythm section, we're both 19, and then
I had twins. Holy shit! Oh
the
my.
other guys are twins. The 22-year-olds are twins.
Okay.
Are you serious?
Singer and the
There's
guitarist.
actual twins in the band. Yeah.
Ah,
They are identical twins. Yeah,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
dead serious.
Oh my fucking
Can't make
Frank!
that shit up.
Fucking Frankenmuth!
So you're all
It
pretty.
is a small town.
You're all
It really-
super young, and you're
Okay,
from a small
sorry.
town, and you
Yeah.
got into some really cool stuff. And how did, like to answer?
They grew up, their family. They grew up in a family surrounded by blues, and really music was the foundation of their family growing up. Their dad played all sorts of instruments, and through their parents and their family, they carried on learning instruments as soon as they could, get their hands on them. And we were listening to a lot of blues and a lot of soul, a lot of the old soul
Yeah.
R&B kind of ideas. And then we started branching off once we were given the tools to a lot of other genres, because we didn't, we don't stick around to one genre. We listened to a lot growing up. We listened to
Yeah.
folk and anything from John Denver to Wilson Pickett to Merle Haggard to,
Wow.
even Chad. I listened to you quite often growing up. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of
I'm so
a lot of
sorry.
the things.
I tortured you. How not to play the drums?
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
good thing.
No,
That's a good thing. No, thank you. I think.
No, we
There's
listened
no,
to,
but you're like all over. Is there like any hip hop or like, or is it or would you listen to the radio? But or was it more?
I don't know if you'd believe me, but until I got to about middle school, I really didn't know there was any other type of music other than live, rock and roll,
Right.
folk. Like I didn't know there was a modern thing going on. I
Yeah.
didn't really realize what it was until I had met
Yeah.
everyone else in middle school and realized, wow, I'm the only one that is listening to this stuff. and until I met the other guys, and
Right.
that's where we kind of
Yeah, it's where you bonded.
fell in
Yeah.
love with
What
each
are
other.
the
Yeah,
odds that it would all be in
and
this
they all
small
happened to
town?
play the other instruments, so it was great.
Wow.
So, Danny, I was mentioning that Elton John said, "Whoever says rock is dead hasn't heard these guys." It's a cliched question. It's the $1 million question, but we talk about that a lot on the show. Is rock dead? And a lot of
No.
people are looking to you guys, honestly, and also I would say maybe to a couple other bands like the Struts, who I know you've toured with, sort of as like saving rock and roll, or reviving rock and roll, or bringing it back. Do you feel?
I think the understanding of rock and roll is dead. I think people don't really know what it is anymore. Just and the easy answer is to just say it's dead, because but rock and roll is not just a genre, and if you limit it to a genre, you're kind of screwing yourself. I think it's kind of a lifestyle, and I am very humbled to have been given, along with the other guys, that torch, so to speak. But it's not something that we take as pressure. It just kind of builds the momentum of everything. We're all very humbled. It's really great, but I hope that there's just a movement that sparks overall in terms of live music and a resurgence, a renaissance, so to speak.
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of things that could potentially be happening to lead the world to believing that rock is dead, but I don't think it is.
Well, I saw you at Coachella, and that tent was going crazy for you.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
Man, I don't even remember Coachella.
Coachella in recent years has moved away from having a lot of. This year was actually the first year that they didn't have any headline rock acts on the main stage. It was like,
Yeah.
Beyonce and The Weeknd, which is fine. But,
Yeah.
anyone who says rock is dead was not in your tent at Coachella, because the kids, and they were kids, young people,
That's for sure.
nuts, going
Absolutely.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the energy that was in that room specifically was through that roof. It was. I don't even feel like we performed near our capability. Like I remember being absolutely flustered and pissed off getting off stage, but you couldn't deny the fact that room was energized through the roof. It was crazy. It was great. That's what I'm talking about, that resurgence that I've been seeing on the road as often as we've been.
I gotta ask you something. I was in Nantucket this weekend, and I ran into a guy that told me you guys played a concert for deaf people recently. Does that ring a bell?
No.
No?
No, it does
Story,
not.
He's like, no.
It's a great story.
I'm telling
Really
you.
accurate sound effect.
I know. See that? Big Nick.
That must happen a lot.
It really does. He's got his hand on it all the time because that's my job here.
So someone lied to you, Chad.
Somebody lied to me. No, it was like half of it was deaf and half were feeling the music through these sensors through their skin. It was like an Intel thing or something. Does that ring a bell at all? No?
That's a really elaborate lie.
Never mind.
Well,
Okay.
you guys,
I have
it
a
would be cool if
question
you
for
did
you.
that.
Yeah.
Do you use in-ears when you play? What's your setup like
I
when
do.
you're behind the kit when you're live?
I do use in-ears. I have little floor monitors. I think maybe only if the in-ears go out. I have a double butt woofer.
Nice.
Oh man,
those
that's a
exist.
hashtag right there.
Yeah,
hashtag
there's a
double
hashtag double butt woofer. And goes right with the ookie cookie or whatever we were talking about before, and so it's right, one for the ass, one for the cock and the balls. Very important.
I like that. Yeah.
So if you don't have that going on, you once you get it, it's hard to go back. But
yeah. So Coachella was March, and we were so early in our career, we didn't have ears yet.
right,
Like I couldn't afford them yet.
yeah.
I'm not like so we. So that
But it took me,
Coachella
Danny, it
sounds
took me a
horrible
while to get used to it because I'd
Yeah.
played so long the other way, and like when you're in ears, it feels like you got headphones on, and you kind of got to really tweak it to make it feel and sound exciting as when you're sitting at your drums acoustically. But my pack, I'm like we talking about being a little deaf earlier. My pack is so loud, it's like not. It's not really saving my ears too much, but it's clear.
Yeah, I know
Everything-
the feeling. No,
Right?
I know the feeling. We just transitioned, and I'm kind of going through the same thing. Some nights are so loud, and some nights I can just turn it almost all the way down because it's still kind of tricky. Yeah, it's that
You
whole
gotta
headphone thing.
figure it out. Like find the right. You gotta tweak it a little bit. Get some room mics in, so it's not so dry
Yeah.
and all that shit. But yeah, I love it now. I'm all about it. When I take them out and I play, I go, holy shit! I can't believe I was fucking doing this to my ears for 40 fucking years. Yeah. No. So yeah, I like them.
Well, Danny,
Cool.
we
But the
don't,
butt woofer, double butt woofer.
hashtag double butt woofer.
Hashtag double butt woofer. Yeah.
Now that you're on your way up, you can afford those
Yeah.
and the in-ears and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
we
I can
only
get a
have
quadruple butt woofer.
Yeah, dude. Don't try to up butt woofer me.
All right. I'm probably blowing me off the seat.
You have to get a really big seat to fit the triple butt woofer.
Danny, we only have a few minutes left, so I want to make sure we have a chance to talk about your album coming out next month, what we can expect
yes,
from it.
absolutely.
It's much anticipated, probably one of the most anticipated records of fall.
Well, that's cool.
Where did you guys? Where did you record it at?
We recorded it in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So
Nice.
we brought the same Detroit guys, the same crew that we had for the EP and both of the first EPs, and then we recorded at Blackbird Studios.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a great studio,
Yeah.
and we're young, and we were like in there, easily over 12 hours a day, and we were there up all night, and it's the perfect playground to just
Yeah.
grab stuff and experiment and to have a live setup still, and and just play all night. And it was great, and
Awesome.
I'm really excited. I think we captured something.
Awesome.
You did a lot of it kind of written in the studio, or from what I read, you sort of jammed in the studio. Is that your method?
Yeah, the whole real 4 months that we were working on it, it was really just its own time period, and we were recording. We were midway through recording when we were playing, the Elton John show. I don't know if anyone would realize that, but we were all the Europe runs we were doing this spring and all that. It was all during the recording process. So I think we were able to capture a lot of that chaos, which is cool.
So what would you go out and come back and go right back to Blackbird and then go out in between?
Yeah, we did it in really, I guess, 2 sessions. We had a basic set of 6 songs that we had, written and ready, and we went in and recorded those. And while we were recording those, in that off time, we started writing some more. And while we were on tour, we started writing more. And then we gathered 6 more. And when we got 6 more, we went back in and recorded those ones.
Okay.
So, and then we just had a bunch to choose from at that point, which is great.
Awesome. Wow. Well,
yeah.
You feel good about it?
I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty happy with all of our work. I'm really happy with it. I almost think it may make us sound better than we actually are. So. No.
I guess that's the producer's job. Or
There were other people.
Right.
So all those Nashville session musicians came in, and all the professionals.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you how many times we finished the take and we went back in the room and we were just like scared because it just sounded better than we know we sound.
You know what? That's better than the other way, my friend. I've been on the other side. I'd be like, oh my God, that sounded so fucking good. And you go in the control room, and you're like, oh.
Danny, we only have...
I'm not saying there wasn't any of that.
No.
There was.
Yeah.
So,
That's
Danny,
awesome.
we only have one more minute, but I want to get a question. I want to ask you real quick. So you've performed with Elton John, and I've seen that Nikki Sixx is a fan. I've seen a lot of older musicians praising you. Is there someone you'd love to jam with or collaborate with? Who's your dream?
Paul McCartney.
We were just
I
talking
think, well, I would say, it's hard because I guess it's not so hard. I'm a drummer, but I play at least 8 or 9 instruments. I play it all, so drums wasn't even my first instrument. So, it could really be any musician. I think Paul McCartney has been one of my favorite writers since I had heard of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he's listening. Paul, give Danny a call.
I hope so.
So, congratulations on everything. Really looking forward to your album. When does it come out? What's the title?
Oh, it's coming out October 19th, and it's going to be called Anthem of the Peaceful Army.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. Good luck with everything. And thank you, everybody,
so much.
for
Thanks,
listening.
Danny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Volume West. We'll be back, me and Chad Smith, next week.